Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your Erik ten Hag press conference reaction for the Nottingham Forest game in the Carabao Cup. We've also got updates on the sale of Manchester United and injury status as well. You know what, it's really nice actually to have Erik ten Hag in a press conference the day before a match asking questions from journalists. I'm not a big fan of these embargoed ones we've been getting where it's recorded after a match for a game that's happening in a few days' time. So yeah, really pleased to have that. Lots to get into. Erik ten Hag, look, a couple of headlines we're going to dive into. Jadon Sancho will not be available for the Forest game. I feel justifiably saying I told you so, but it's not something to be positive about in relation to I told you so. I mean, who was the prat who did the video a couple of weeks ago saying Sancho might start? And I said, what is that all about? It just raises expectation, puts pressure on the player. We've got to be patient. And I think that, look, whilst there may have been logically a little bit of thought that Sancho might be in the squad for this game, he's not. And I think that just sort of puts the handbrake on expectations that he's been out for a long time. There's clearly a big issue. And, you know, maybe Reading on Saturday is better because it's in the safety of Old Trafford. It's a home game. The opposition isn't as good. Maybe that is the more realistic game, but I wouldn't guarantee that. Let's talk about that in a bit, though. Also, Delon Martial out. He spoke about the fallout from the weekend and how they've reacted to that. So lots to get into. A lot of people frustrated that Sancho's not back, understandably, but I think we have to be patient. I am just going to hit something that happened while I was live, and no one in the chat really let me know about this morning. There's some stories coming out from numerous sources about the Saudi Arabian Sports Investment Fund being interested in Manchester United, and now it would be PSG, so it would be Qatar wanting to be interested in Manchester United as well. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I've got to say, boredom is not setting in yet, but I tweeted something this morning about the sale of Manchester United, and it matters not to me at this stage who wants to buy Manchester United. Until we know who's going to buy the club, it matters not to me. The fact that people are interested in buying the club, great. Do I want the Saudi Arabian Investment Fund to buy Manchester United when they own Newcastle? No. I don't want them to get creative in coming up with other holding companies to buy Man United when they technically own Newcastle. And the same with Qatar, who own PSG. I want the people to own Manchester United to own Manchester United. I want Manchester United to be the focal point. I don't want us to be consumed by somebody who also owns Newcastle in another way, or PSG. So I personally don't want that. We're Manchester United, and you drop everything else for us. If you want Manchester United, sell Newcastle, sell PSG, and buy us. And I think I've heard that the Rain Group have sort of said that in relation to the Qatar interest. If you want to buy Manchester United, sell PSG. So yeah, I agree with that. We're Manchester United. We don't want you with a holding company getting hold of us in a different way. You own Manchester United. But the main thing that's bothering me a little bit about this sale at the moment is that, and I said it this morning, the Glazers don't care about this football club. We know that. It's not breaking news. It's slow sports news. And they don't care about this football club. And what's worrying me a little bit, and it may not come true, is that in their greedy people love it when they've got loads of options. For us, what we're thinking is we want the right owner in by April. So at the start of April, we can hit the agents of the players we want to buy, whether that's Enzo Fernandez or whoever. If we don't have new owners until May or even later, Enzo Fernandez will be gone, or whoever that player is, or Osman or whoever, they'll be gone, because we won't be able to say to that agent, we're definitely going to buy you, because we don't know who the owner's going to be. My concern is that the Glazers are so ecstatic about all the interest in their club. Do they really care when the deadline is for selling the club? We need the club sold ASAP. If they've got loads of offers and they can go back and go, do you want to offer a little bit more because they want to offer? This could go on and impact our summer transfer window. So that's what I'm thinking about at the moment. I don't think finding a decent owner is going to be the problem. I think the problem for us is, can we get this sorted in time to make a major impact on the summer transfer window? Because it's not just about having the money either. The owner's got to come in and be creative, because of course there are financial fair play considerations, spends, everything that we need to have plans of action in place. And also, if you're coming into the club in April, are you really going to get rid of Richard Arnold and John Murtagh straight away, or are they going to be in charge for the summer as well? I want these owners in ASAP with a plan of action. And my concern is we'll get them in a little bit too late, just like Chelsea did for their summer transfer window. It ends up being a bit chaotic. And also you keep the crap people that we had last summer who do these deals. Should an old midfielder come to United like Pjanic, as Domingo? Well, Weghorst has come in. I wouldn't rule it out. But let's get into what Erik ten Hag had to say. So look, Jadon Sancho will not be available for the game against Nottingham Forest. Neither will Anthony Martial or Diego Dalot. And that's your updates from Erik ten Hag on injuries. He was asked about Reading. I think it was Simon Peach who said, is anybody back for the Forest game, or is it more likely that they'll be involved in the Reading game? Well, ten Hag didn't fall for that. He just said, no, nobody's back who didn't miss the Arsenal game. So Sancho, Martial, Dalot will not be back for the Forest game, and no mention of when they will be back because that's not Ten Hag's style. Look, I do hear little bits from the training ground. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's not. With Martial, I get the feeling he might be out for another 2 weeks at least. I've got the feeling that he is injured quite significantly. I hope not, but I get the feeling with Martial he's not close, because obviously we played him against Man City because it was a big game. He went off at half time. He's had a week. He's not back for the Arsenal game. And when you think about injuries are normally a knock where you can get yourself back, or they're longer term where you can't get yourself back. Well, Martial can't get himself back in a week and a half now. Tell me injuries that are normally 2 weeks. So I think with Martial, we're looking at 3 or 4 weeks here. So I don't think we're going to see Martial back for before the Crystal Palace game at least, which is another week and a half away, which would make it a 3-week injury. As for Dalot, I would imagine it's probably similar to what he had before, and again, probably looking at the Crystal Palace game. So I don't expect to see Martial or Dalot for any of these semi-finals or the Reading game. Which brings us back to Jadon Sancho. And look, I find the Jadon Sancho... Personally, I find the Jadon Sancho situation very easy to manage. But I look around and I look at the chat and I don't think some people do. They're desperate for Jadon Sancho to come back, aren't we all? But when you look at it pragmatically, this was a player that was fully fit, playing for Man United, started the season off quite well, and then disappeared in mid-October. And we've not seen him since. And then we found out he was training individually, and then we found out he started training with the first team again a week ago, and then we found out from Ten Hag today he's not even going to be part of the squad for the game tomorrow. This is a long process. It's unprecedented in many ways. I can't think of a situation like this with a United player before where it's such a long absence. I mean, we are approaching 3 months now. I mean, technically, it must be 3 months. Middle of October, middle of November, middle of December. Yeah, 3 months since he played a first-team game. And probably the vast majority of that, he's not been training either. So, and we don't know the full details of what that is, whether it's mental health issues, whether it's injury, fitness issues. We don't know. So we must always assume that they are serious issues. And in that sense, I feel that patience overrides anything here. Far better that Jadon Sancho pulls on a United shirt when Ten Hag is happy and Jadon Sancho is happy than him pulling on a shirt when he's not quite right or Ten Hag's not quite happy. So, yeah, it's frustrating, but it's not as frustrating as... I would use a comparison here. What's more frustrating? Jadon Sancho's not playing for Manchester United, or Manchester United, who have that knowledge, haven't reacted to this, or the Van der Beek season ender and brought a player in. I mean, they know the situation with Jadon Sancho, and they'll know how fragile it is. What if Jadon Sancho comes back and gets injured, or the problem re-emerges and he's out again for a couple of months? So the thing I find more frustrating is that the squad is not strong enough, and we're not really doing anything about it. With regards to Jadon Sancho, he's been at the club for 18 months. It's been sporadic in relation to form, and patience is a virtue, and it's going to have to be the key. And what worries me a little bit is that Jadon Sancho comes back and plays for United, has an average performance, and people go, oh, he's not like Neymar. I think some people, maybe a minority, may have an expectation that Sancho... I mean, I see people going, look at... I mean, this makes me laugh. Like, I saw somebody today putting a picture up of Jadon Sancho, saying, he looks a lot leaner. This is the Renaissance. And I'm like, Do you want to put more pressure on the player? Oh, he looks a bit leaner. I bet he's going to turn into Mbappe now. Like, we've just got to be patient. He might be crap when he comes back. He might be brilliant when he comes back. He might be average when he came back. But I think this is a project. It's a project like Anthony. There might be glimpses of positivity. There might be some bad play. He might be brilliant, but I wouldn't put a label on it. I wouldn't put a label on it. And I think that the genaissance, says Just Kevin, yeah. I hope so. I like Sancho. I was very happy when we signed him. He's a flair player. I'm always a big fan of those. But if he plays against Reading, he plays against Reading. If he doesn't, it's like, you know, we don't know the details. So I'm quite. We do need him. Like, I'm not going to deny that we need him. Look at the squad, but it's the last player in the world we should be putting pressure on. Really, when when we know what the problems are. I've said it for a long time. Said Sancho will be back early February, says Jan. And Sancho and Anthony in form with Rashford could be very good from there. You know what? Actually, I'll bring this into the chat. Thanks, Lil. When I was speaking in the studio yesterday, we were talking about Sancho. I think it was me, Beth, Charlie and Adam. And we were talking about Sancho. And I think it was Adam said, I think Sancho's going to be a success. I think he's going to come back. He's going to get in that team. He's a project for Ten Hag. And he's going to make it work. And I said, Adam, I like what you're drinking. I'll have a pint. It's a metaphor for I like what he's saying. But I said, I've got one problem with it. And he said, tell me. I said, I'm going to. I said, where does Sancho fit in this team? I said, I'm not worried about Sancho coming back. And I think he's a good player. But where does Sancho get in this team? You're talking to me about Sancho's going to do really well. Social media, the live chat, the comments on United Stand. Sancho's going to come back. I love it. Great. But where's he starting in this team? Where is he going to start in this team? Because Rashford's on the left and Anthony cost £85 million. So Sancho, it's worth just thinking, where does he get into this team? Now maybe this number 10 theory, which to me doesn't really make any sense, maybe that comes true. Maybe Rashford goes down the middle and Sancho goes to the left. But a lot of people quite rightly, Kalido says Sancho for Anthony. I get it. You might be right. But hold this thought. Is Erik Ten Hag going to dump his 85 million signing that he made to prioritise Jadon Sancho? Now, he will do if Anthony keeps playing like he does and Sancho comes back playing well. But what I'm saying is, long term, where's Sancho getting in this team? Is he getting in ahead of Marcus Rashford, who is Erik Ten Hag's star boy? Or is he getting in ahead of Anthony, who is Erik Ten Hag's massive signing that he has to make work? Interesting. Competition for place is great, but where will he go? Will he go right? Will he go left? Interesting. And I find that exciting because we all go, oh, we want this player back, we want this player back. There's not always space for everybody, is there? And that's what you want. That's what you want. Do you want him back, Mark, says Tommy? I want Jadon Sancho replicating the talent he is and was at Dortmund at Manchester United. I think he suits the way we want to play. I think he is unique in the sense that he is a player that can give and go and create spaces and play little 1-2s. He's a creative. There's no reason why he can't be a very successful Manchester United player. And he offers something different. He's different to Rashford. He's different to Anthony. So, look, I think he's a very talented player. I'd be very, very happy if we can get him playing well and he's a bench option, a rotational option. It doesn't... But when I look at this, I go, well, look at Man City. Does Riyad Mahrez start every game? Does Jack Grealish start every game? Does Foden start every game? No. Sometimes they're sat on the bench quite a lot. Why can't we have a player like that? Why can't Sancho sit on the bench and then come on? Oh, why can't Rashford sit on the bench and Sancho start? Oh, why can't Anthony sit on the bench? That's what you need to get to. You need to have players that understand their role within the squad, that they're important and allow us to have really good competition for places, like Paul Gray says. That's what I want. I don't know that some of our fans do want that because I constantly see, well, Wan-Bissaka's better than Delo. Martial's better than Rashford. Donny's better than Bruno, Fred's better than Eriksen. I don't do that because I'm like, I want as many as them playing and sitting. As long as they're happy to sit on the bench, I couldn't give a toss. As long as they're happy to be part of the bigger squad, because I think what Man City have built is what we need to build. We need to look at our bench and go, they're internationals. They're top quality, and they're happy to be part of this squad. I think Ten Hag wants to build a squad. I don't think he wants to build a best 11. I think he has to at the moment, but I think he wants a squad, which is interesting. I get what you mean about Anthony, but that right wing position can be changed. I think Ten Hag would pick on merit if Sancho is worthy of the first team. I agree with you, Pratosaurus Rex. I do, but I also think Ten Hag will do everything in his power to make Anthony work because he has to, because it's his signing. Some fans are quick to forget that Sancho was doing bits earlier this season against Liverpool and Leicester. He did start the season well. You're right. He did start the season well. Very, very right. Anyway, let's carry on with some of Erik Ten Hag's quotes. He said that he was asked about the importance of winning trophies, and he said it's about that. It's about winning trophies. So we have a good opportunity, but we have to go game to game. He was basically asked about, was he frustrated with the loss against Arsenal and how are the team feeling now? And he said, first of all, we've parked that. You have to park that. We drew the right conclusions and we left it and we move on and we focus on this game. And, I think we all know that Erik Ten Hag will have moved on, but will have given them a right, clear indication of where it went wrong against Arsenal. And then you move on to the next game because we have to, because we're playing games every 3 days, aren't we, at the moment, or 3.5 days. He said how important is, he was asked about how important it is to win a trophy. And, he said, you've got to go game to game, of course, because ultimately it's about putting yourself in a position in April or when you can win trophies. Basically, what he was asked is the volume of games a problem for Manchester United? I see more potential in Anthony than Sancho, says Robert McCormack. Interesting. I think that, Anthony is more of an unknown because he's not been here that long, whereas Sancho we have seen 18 months, but I still don't think we've seen the real Jadon Sancho, Robert, to be honest, but interesting take. I'll tell you what I could do, just as a bit of fun, because ultimately we are a fan channel, it is always about having that. Who will be the bigger United success? I was going to do it. Anthony or Sancho. It's a bit of fun. We are not throwing anybody under the bus. We are not undermining anybody. They both could be absolutely brilliant, but who do you think will be the better player for Manchester United? He was asked about the volume of games, Erik Ten Hag, and how that's impacting on Manchester United. He basically said, look, at the end of the day, if you're playing lots of games, it means you're successful, and we want to put ourselves in a position where, come the time to win trophies, we're in the picture to do that. So, good, mature question from Ten Hag. The volume of games is ridiculous, but it's self-inflicted, isn't it? Chelsea have got 2 weeks off. They're not in the Carabao Cup and they're not in the FA Cup. So they've got 2 weeks off. We're in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup and we're in the FA Cup. So we don't get 2 weeks off. We're playing every 3 days. It's a sign of success. To avoid that, you've got to fail. And I love that from Ten Hag because I won't shut up talking about the ridiculous schedule these players are having to go through this season because of the World Cup in the middle of the season and playing every 3 days. But Ten Hag is right. You can spin a positive and say, well, there is time off if you want to fail. If you want to be successful, then you're going to play a lot of games. So absolutely spot on with that. A lot of people getting involved in the Sancho thing. What was else? He was asked about his criticism of the defence against Arsenal. I loved this assessment and really, really wanted to get into it. So he was very critical of the defence after the game on Sunday against Arsenal. But I think you look at the defence against Brentford and Brighton and we know that big changes were made. Maguire came out of the team, Luke Shaw came out of the team, Varane, Malacia came in and we started getting clean sheets. He was critical of the defence on Sunday, but I never thought he would do this and he's clarified that he's clearly not. It wasn't that he's looking to make changes. It's not like Lindelof, Malacia, Maguire are going to come in now. And he was quite clear in that answer just now in the press conference. He said, look, in general, our defence has been very good. Against Man City, the defence was very good. They didn't have many chances. Against Arsenal, the defence in general was very good. Most of their shots were from distance. They didn't create many clear-cut chances. But my issue is all 3 goals were avoidable. And if you can avoid conceding goals, then you shouldn't concede goals. And if you concede 3 goals at any game in the Premier League, it will be difficult to win the game, whether it's Arsenal or not. Again, very, very clear, precise, and to the point. So it's not that he has an issue with that back five, because that back five, for me, has been... I think our back five has been the success of the story with Casemiro of the season. I mean, Rashford's been fantastic, no doubt about it, but our defence has been more reliable than our attack. We still don't create enough chances, I don't think. But we've got so many results this season built on a strong defence. As soon as we lost to Brentford and Brighton at the start of the season, the season was rebuilt on a strong defence. Liverpool, Southampton, Leicester, I forget who we played after that. So we built this season on a strong defence. And I think Ten Hag was clear to indicate that generally we are very good. The frustration was we can't make the mistakes that we made in those 3 goals. And look, specifically, Wan-Bissaka on the first goal. The second goal, Eriksen can't allow a player like that to get on his foot, on his left foot. And the third goal, I think, was a catalogue of errors, not picking up runners, not positioning yourself right. You know, I thought the third goal was a team goal where we didn't defend in general very well across the team. But look, the defence is still very good, and you could argue that it's still our strongest part of the team. And I mean, look at the Crystal Palace game. The defence nearly won us the game. I know we scored a goal through Bruno, but we didn't create any. We couldn't score the second goal. The defence defended really well. We just got beat by a worldie, didn't we, from the free kick? So the defence to me is not a problem area, and I don't think it is for Ten Hag. I think he was just frustrated by some of the goals. Anthony has already made me get out of my seat more times than Sancho. He's only been here 5 minutes, says James. What else did he talk about? Erik Ten Hag. I just want to make sure that I cover everything. Yeah, he was asked about the game against Forest. He said it's a long time since we played them. The atmosphere will be difficult. We've got to play them over 2 legs, so let's focus on the first leg. Don't think further ahead because that will distract us. So the aim for tomorrow is to win that game. I feel that it will be a good atmosphere there. I think the last time we played them at the City Ground, somebody said to me the last time we played them at the City Ground was the 8-1 when Solskjaer came on and scored 4 goals. I don't know whether that's right. That seems like a long time ago. And I remember that game quite clearly. And no, I wasn't at the game because I was born in Nottingham. I didn't go to that game. I do remember putting it on teletext and seeing 4-1. In those days, that was definitely not on the TV. I presume it was a 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon game. But yeah, Solskjaer scored 4 goals. I think that was the last time we played them at the City Ground. So the atmosphere will be good. Manchester United, always a big, big draw. And, it could potentially be a difficult game. I think I wouldn't go... what did I say on my preview? Did I say... I think I said 2-0 to United, but it could be 1-1. I think we are a little bit vulnerable. I'll be honest. I think we are a bit... If you don't know what teletext is, Michael, probably best not to look it up. If you do know what it was, I've probably just filled you with a nice warm feeling in your hearts, because those were the days. Those were the days. Pre-internet. In the olden days to many of the youth there. Yeah. I loved teletext. Anyway, and then you had Soccer Saturday with George Best and Jeff Stelling and Rodney Marsh. That was the next best thing then. But look, I think that we are a little bit vulnerable at the moment. I think fatigue is a big enemy, and then lack of options off the bench is a big enemy. So I think the way Forest will look at it is if they can deal with us, then if they can deal with us in the first half, they've got a great chance of getting a result in the second half. And I think that's the way that Palace did it as well. I think with United at the moment, you've got to be really competitive in the first half because you know they're going to fade in the second half for 2 reasons: tired, fatigue, and they haven't got any options on the bench. So that will be the game plan for Forest tomorrow. Is Henderson playing tomorrow, says Robert? Well, he's injured. Dean Henderson is actually injured. So no, he's not playing. And he wouldn't be able to play anyway because he's ineligible because he's on loan. But he's actually injured at the moment anyway. I think he's out for a couple of months, actually, I think, Dean Henderson. So, yeah. And just to bring you a little bit of other news as well, this was from TalkSport. I think it's from Alex Crook. The Glazers hope to sell Man United by the start of the summer transfer window. Needs to be fucking sooner than that. Way sooner than that. People need to understand that if the new owners come in at the start of the summer transfer window, which is June, we're screwed. Because you can't walk in the door and go, get that, get that, get that. Deals are being worked on through April and May. How can we work on deals in April and May if we haven't... We've got to get moving with this sale, is what I'm trying to say. And also goes on to say that Manchester United are prepared to sell Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire in the summer. Well, I'm not going to get too excited about that because for 2 reasons. One, the summer is an unknown. It's like saying you're going to buy Harry Kane or Osman. No, what's the point? No, nobody knows whether that's going to happen because we don't even know who's buying the club yet. The Glazers might not even know who's going to buy the club yet. So how can we know who we're going to buy in the summer? Same works with sales. And also, we're in a really important season at the moment and we've got lots of games to play. I guarantee you Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire are going to play at least 90 minutes in the next 2 games against Reading and Forest. Who knows what the situation is? Maybe Varane picks up an injury and Maguire comes into the team. So there's always a way back for these players when there's 5 months left of the season. Well, 4 months now. So, look, if the summer was tomorrow, if I was Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire, I'd be asking to leave anyway. And I'm sure Erik ten Hag would say, right, off you can go. But there's a lot of time to go. Right here, right now, completely logical that Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire leave Manchester United. Of course it is. And there'll be interest in them. They need to build their careers. We need to move on. But it's a long way away, and I think sometimes that sort of talk, although I'd agree with it, isn't really that helpful because we're going to need these players over the next few days, next few days and next few months. Boss says Maguire's a great squad player. Yeah, but he doesn't want to be a squad player, mate. Some players want to be a squad player. He doesn't want to be a squad player, and he shouldn't want to be a squad player. He's coming up for 30. He needs to play first team football if he wants to keep playing for England. You know, you can't be playing in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup as an England centre-back. You've got to be playing in the Premier League and the Champions League. So he will need to move. And Scott McTominay, I mean, really, most of his career he's been a bench player. Do you want to play some first team football at 26? So I think he needs to go as well. But that's for the summer. Pep benches 100 million Grealish. Erik ten Hag is the same, says Duncan. Yeah, but Pep Guardiola and Ten Hag are not the same. Right, interesting. Let's go to the poll. Who will be the biggest United success, Antony or Sancho? 61% of you have gone with Sancho. 39% of you have gone with Antony. Not surprised, first of all. I'll give you my thoughts, but not surprised. What is surprising is how Sancho has this massive support behind him, even though he's been 18 months and not really been a success. And Antony has not really been here 6 months and has an army behind him that doesn't like him. If I could work that one out, I'd solve it. Could it be the passport? Could it be his flamboyance? I don't know. Could it be the price tag? Probably not. They're around the same. So I don't get why Antony's getting written off after 6 months, but Sancho's getting, there's still a good play there after 18 months. So Sancho has more favour than Antony. There's no doubt about that. But logically, it should be the other way around because the newer player should have more patience. I like both. I can see a world where Sancho's on the left and Antony's on the right. I don't know what you do with Rashford, but I can see that world. So for me, it's not about either or. If you're asking me who's going to be the bigger success just for a bit of fun, really hard to predict. I can see both failing. I can see both being successful. And I can see one being successful and one being sold. So I can see all situations. I'm not going to be silly and say this is definitely going to happen. But as a prediction, because I don't sit on the fence, who's going to be more successful as a United player, Sancho or Antony? I really can see both doing well. When I did that few seconds where I was thinking about the player and United, and I can see both being a success. But I'm not going to say one's got to be. I'm going to go with Antony. And the only reason I'm going to go with Antony, because it is close, is because Ten Hag bought Antony. He didn't buy Sancho. So when push comes to shove, if he had to choose between the two now, he'd choose Antony because Antony's his player. And managers are like that. Mourinho did it, didn't he? He tried to clear a lot of the Van Gaal players and, wanted his own to be successful. I think it's just natural. God, I nearly said something horrible there. Like if you marry a woman and you have or a man and you have a child together, but she's already got a couple of kids, and you're on holiday and there's a big lion running towards you. Which kid are you going to pick up? Are you going to pick up the kid that you've had or the stepkids? I'm not giving you the answer. I'm just giving you a scenario, and I think in this situation, Ten Hag's going to pick up Antony. And that'll be that should give Antony the advantage to be more successful when the manager's going to prioritise you. But I might be completely wrong on that. I might be completely wrong. Augustine, is that comments of Henri? Well, I want to go back to that one actually. What was that? New owners need to just terminate Martial's contract in the summer, says Sean. This is made of glass, absolutely pointless. Harsh, but some people might say fair. Is the comment of Thierry Henry about Erik ten Hag true or fake, says Augustine. Realistic, thank you, welcome to the Members Club. I picked Sancho based on Dortmund form and Erik ten Hag ability to turn a play around. Anthony's stats were not as good at Ajax. It is close though, says Pratosaurus Rex. Look, I'm excited to see what happens with both of them. I have seen this Thierry Henry love fest for Ten Hag quote going round. I don't dispute its authenticity, but I think he's talking out his arse at the end when he says that he said something along the lines of, I think that Ten Hag's football is more entertaining than Sir Alex or something. And I was like, have you banged your head, Thierry? Like, the football we've played under Ten Hag so far has been okay. It's nowhere near the level he wants to play. And the football we played under Sir Alex Ferguson is some of the best the world's ever seen. Like, forget the Premier League. We were a bloody brilliant footballing side. So I don't know what Thierry's on about. I really don't. I just think, look, I like the praise for Ten Hag, but this comment about it being better than Sir Alex or potentially better to be better than Sir Alex, I'm like, I'll tell you what, I'd have to be pretty perfect to be better than some of the football we played under Sir Alex, because you're talking about the greatest manager there's ever been, and we played some of the greatest football there's ever been. Yeah, this bloody... It happens every year. I'm surprised Gary Lineker's not said that this Arsenal side's the best Premier League side ever. It's this recency bias pisses me off. I've watched the game. Manchester United under Sir Alex Ferguson. Oh my God. Even the way we countered got you pissing your pants. It was amazing. It was we were a brilliant footballing side. Not always, but across his career and the 3 or 4 teams he built. Oh, I remember us going to play Wimbledon at Selhurst Park. Dirty. They were filthy. And the pitch was horrible. And we played like 5, 6, 7 fast passes and get in behind with Dennis Irwin and score a goal. We played some bloody brilliant football. I'm telling you now. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for tuning in. I am playing FIFA career mode, actually. We'll be playing some good football at 3 on Twitch. My Man United career mode continues. We've got a show at 4 o'clock. I think Ricky's on. They're going to be talking about the sale of Manchester United. Interactive debate show from the studio. Make sure you tune in for that at 4. And I'll be back at 8 o'clock. So loads to get involved with the show as we move towards a big game tomorrow. I think that's going to be, you know what? I think that's the most exciting game we've got out of all the cup ties. The away game against Forest is going to be the best game because it's hard. It's a hostile crowd. I think it's going to be really good. Reading on Saturday should be a lot of change. I think they've got the worst away record in the Championship, Reading. They're mid-table, but they've got the worse away record than the team that's bottom. So chances of Reading coming to Manchester United and getting battered, very high. And then obviously the second leg against Forest we should win. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. Thanks everyone for watching. Tune in at 4 o'clock. If you want to tune into the FIFA career mode at 3, I'll see you there on there. I'll be tweeting that out. Thanks everyone for getting involved. Really good. You know what? That was a really good show. I enjoyed it. Really good debate about Sancho and Anthony, and really good conversation about a few things as well. Paul Ince is the manager of Reading, and he won't be coming on the United stand because he's the manager of Reading. It's just not going to happen. But it would be good. Take care, everyone. Speak to you in a bit.